Minister of Higher Education, Science and Innovation, Dr Blade Nzimande, says there is no crisis at the Student Financial Aid Scheme, or NSFAS. Nzimande says the scheme has made strides with the new direct payment system, which has led to student protests at several universities. The scheme has been mired with complaints over student funding failures. The minister criticised detractors who are claiming that NSFAS is in a shambles. He also warned students who were improperly benefiting from NSFAS and urged appropriate criminal and legal action against anyone found to be defrauding the system. Dr Nzimande joins us now to discuss this matter further. Minister, thank you. Thanks very much for joining us.
Good morning, Leanne, and thanks for inviting me, and good morning to your viewers and listeners.
Thank you, Minister. I know you're in a rush, so I'm glad we could quickly get this interview done. So you say that NSFAS is turning the tide, but there are still numerous shortcomings. I mean, students are protesting against unpaid allowances. They're calling for the new NSFAS direct payment system to be scrapped. Let's get your reaction to that.
Leanne, let me be absolutely clear. Anyone who claims that NSFAS is in shambles is not true. We do have challenges that I have not denied. Partly that is why we were giving an update the other day through a presser to actually deal with the glitches and some of the problems that we are experiencing. Remember, I'm not just talking about this from the air. There are just over 1 million students now, as I'm talking to you, who are on NSFAS. If NSFAS was in shambles, the whole country and the whole sector actually will be upside down.
Yeah.
But we are not denying the glitches. And what are those glitches? The first one that I have, there are a few that I've already identified. And by the way, I have asked the NSFAS board a month ago already to address these problems. The first one is actually the direct payment and the service providers who were doing this. There was a problem of high charges, which I have already addressed. Mm-hmm. There was a question of students who were not able to onboard. But as I said in the press conference now, in 23 of our 26 public universities, more than 90% of the students have actually joined the system. There are still complaints that from some of those who have joined the system, they are still not getting their resources. I have asked NSFAS to dispatch officials to go into all those universities where there are lots of problems that are being reported on this, and then they are actually dealing with that. But also I have said to the NSFAS board, there is a lot of other things they need to improve. Timely communication, fast-track appeals, and make sure that their turnaround is as soon as possible. And they are at the moment actually doing that. The other challenge that has been raised are students who have been removed from being beneficiaries because they are defrauding the system there.
Yeah.
We've picked up that there are students who have erroneously been removed. That's why I apologized the other day, and NSFAS has actually reinstated them. And I have actually said to NSFAS, they must make sure that they do not get disadvantaged by any means. But those who are benefiting from NSFAS and they are defrauding, they are ineligible, I will have no peace with those ones. More than anything else, Leanne, the Auditor General is on our case.
Yeah.
And say, how come you are funding students that are not supposed to be funded? It means you are tolerating corruption and fraud in the system. So those are the ones that we've actually now dealt with. And I've said to NSFAS, by the end of this month, which is by next week, I want all appeals to have been dealt with and be finalized, because I don't want us to start the exams period with the kinds of problems that we are actually having. But the fact of the matter also, Leanne, there are other issues that quickly I must just say. There are people, of course, who are wanting to spread this disinformation that NSFAS is on its knees. Some of them are service providers who had bid to actually get some of these tenders from NSFAS and did not get them. And therefore, they are spreading this disinformation and rumors that there are actually things and that NSFAS is just totally on its knees, which is not true. But I am concerned about the problems,
Indeed.
and that is why I was outlining what we are doing.
So, Minister, let me ask you one of the questions, and this is something that I think is quite important. Why did you not attend yesterday's committee meeting? Because there was a committee meeting, a higher education committee meeting, and this is where the whole issue around NSFAS was going to be discussed, and then at the last moment you cancelled. Members of Parliament are very concerned about what's going on with NSFAS, and yet the meeting that was meant to try and attend to this, you didn't arrive and cancelled at the last minute.
No, it's not
what
true
happened?
that I did. It's not true, Leanne, that I did not arrive. I did write a letter specifically to the chairperson of the portfolio committee and say we are by default doing two parallel processes. I asked NSFAS to report to me 2 weeks ago on all these things I'm outlining to you. And then they said they asked for a further extension. They are briefing me this week. And I said to the portfolio committee, I can't come to the portfolio committee before I get a report from NSFAS so that I can come to you and brief you with NSFAS being present. I wrote a letter to the chairperson of the portfolio committee and I said, I am not in a position because I don't have the information that I need.
Yeah.
Of course, she responded to me and said, well, she still wants me to come there. I saw no reason why I should actually go there when I had written and further explained. And over and above that, I had a telephonic discussion with both the chairperson and the whip of the committee and explained my case as to let's do this properly next week. I am not running away from accounting. Unfortunately, the members of the opposition in the portfolio committee then opportunistically use this to actually attack me. I reject that. And also they must be careful that we don't play politics with assisting children from the working class and the poor with money to attain education, to change their own life circumstances. I have said, next week I'm ready, I'm going to come. I went to the press conference on Tuesday in order to explain where we are, whilst I am also getting more information from NSFAS about the things I had asked them to do.
So
I'm
Minister,
not that kind of an irresponsible minister, Leanne.
Indeed, Minister, and that's why we're giving you the platform to respond, because that is what media are reporting on, is that you did not come, and they were saying it was really at the last minute, but they still wanted to go ahead with it. A question to you is that there are a large number of students, though, who haven't migrated to this direct payment system, while at some universities this figure is as low as 1% of NSFAS students. At universities such as the University of Fort Hare, this figure shoots up to 44%. So what's happening here? Perhaps explain that to us.
That's not correct. That's not the figures that I have, Leanne, which I shared with the nation the other day, is that 23 of our universities, more than 90% and above of the students have onboarded, registered in the system. And then two additional universities have got 80% plus. Fort Hare was at 56% when I actually reported day before yesterday in my press conference. So it's not true that it's 1%. Where there is a problem, where students have brought this to my attention, which I've said to NSFAS, look into this. They say, Minister, in some instances, students have registered, but they still have problems in accessing the money. That is why I've asked NSFAS, and they are sending people, especially starting with those universities that are reporting major problems, to actually to see what the problem is. But I am, in any case, looking at this whole thing of these service providers and what the issues are, how were they actually engaged? Because seemingly I was assured that they actually had capacity. I'm not saying that they don't, but I've asked NSFAS, that's part of the explanations that I need so that I can explain to the country and also go to Parliament and give them information, not a thumb suck. Those are the figures that we are having, and this is the action that we are actually taking. I'm taking NSFAS very, very seriously, Leanne, because it's playing such an important role. In fact, it's one of the most important achievements of the democratic government, I can say without fear or favor. And partly that's the reason that those who are our detractors, like the opposition and others, they want to attack NSFAS and give a sense that NSFAS is actually in the doldrums, because they know very well that this is one of the most successful interventions of this democratic government. Not only just to assist students, by the way, and think about it, it's breaking intergenerational poverty. You get students who become professionals because they've got qualifications, and therefore they are able to raise families of professionals, more educated people. So you're breaking intergenerational poverty in families. That's what NSFAS is doing. And that is why I'm giving it the kind of attention that I'm giving it at the moment.
Which it certainly deserves, because it is a very important aspect of the future of South Africa and for the students. But my question to you is, I know that you addressed this at a press conference on Tuesday, and that is the allegations against NSFAS CEO Andile Nongogo, who's taken a leave of absence while the board investigates him in relation to his conduct in awarding bids to NSFAS. Now, I mean, when there are stories like this going around, and we're talking about millions and millions of rands, it is a big problem. That, I mean, the story is basically outer laid a criminal complaint against the services SETA after its investigation into the authority revealed 37 million rand was allegedly wasted due to highly overinflated prices. So does this not concern you when you have the wrong leaders? I know there's an investigation, and that's what you're going to answer me, saying we can't prove him guilty until the investigation's done. But the problem is that these allegations are there, and students need this money.
Well, it's not just a million rand scheme, it's billions of rands.
Yeah, indeed. No,
it's a 50 billion. It's a 50 billion rands operation. That's how serious it is. And it's spending about 13 billion, for instance, on student accommodation alone. That is why, Leanne, I asked NSFAS precisely to address that. That is why they took the initiative to say, let the CEO take special leave, because there are these serious allegations. And they appointed a team of lawyers to investigate the matter. Incidentally, that's another reason why I couldn't go to the portfolio committee. I asked for a postponement, because we are expecting this report by next week from the lawyers. That's how quickly we are expecting that this matter will be dealt with. At the moment, I'm not saying who is guilty or not guilty. The report is actually going to tell us. And also, I hope the report is also going to clarify a number of things about the very same service providers that the portfolio committee was calling to appear before them. And I said, I'm still awaiting a report that actually covers all those things. Leah and I always say this all the time. We're a constitutional state. We are not a banana republic. The price you pay for a constitutional state, you can't wake up tomorrow and have a solution whether a person is right or wrong. There must be due process. And this is what we are undertaking. And everybody has a constitutional right to be subjected to a due process. So we can't be having a situation, Nzimande, what are you doing? I'm supposed to act as if we're a banana republic. At the same time, we say we are a constitutional state. Unfortunately, a constitutional state sometimes moves frustratingly slowly. We have to actually accept that and follow due processes so that when we make findings and actions are taken, we are not being questioned for having acted in an irregular manner. And I've lost court cases, by the way, Leanne, where I've been told by the judges that you have not applied your mind to this minister. You have not properly and thoroughly looked into this. Minister, so that is exactly what I'm doing now.
Okay, Minister, I have to wrap. So many, there's just so much happening, but I cannot wrap without asking you this final question. And this is from a student. It's from a student who's saying, Why did the minister change paying money straight into students' bank accounts? And can he explain what is the last month to pay NSFAS money to students? And 2021 college students did not get their money for November. This is from a student, Rachel Montle, who's talking to us on social media.
Very quickly. We did an investigation some 7-8 years ago about payment of allowances of students. We discovered a lot of corruption. In some universities, NSFAS was being sold, Leanne. You would pay in order to get NSFAS, even if you actually did not qualify. There was lots of corruption in some financial aid offices. That's why we decided to adopt what we call a student-centered model. We said NSFAS must approve centrally who is to be funded. And that has done wonders, by the way. That has simplified processes. There may be problems here and there, but we tell students, even they go and register, that you do qualify. Give us a proof of the fact that we've been admitted, then we pay. That is why the system is actually being functional. That was the main reason we actually changed, because also what happened, let me give you the Walter Sisulu incident, which is unfortunate. We would give NSFAS money to Walter Sisulu. Walter Sisulu University would take the money to an agency called, a private provider called IntelliMoney. Then IntelliMoney takes that money to the student. So you pass through four points before the money reaches the student. And we said, this is unacceptable, because if that money is not used properly, NSFAS, for that 14 million rands mistake that happened at that university, was being accused of having given a student wrongly 14 million. It was not NSFAS's problem. So that is what we are actually trying to eliminate, so that also NSFAS can be able to account to you, Leanne, to the South African public on how it is using its money. That's why we are following what we call a student-centered model. But also there are appeals processes. Students, they know exactly where to go to if they've got complaints, and NSFAS will respond to those complaints.
All right, Minister, we got to leave it. We got to leave it. Thank you. Thank you for talking to us. There's so much more I know that needs to be discussed, but it's a big issue. Dr. Blade Nzimande, the Minister of Higher Education, affording us more time than we had bargained for, talking to us about the NSFAS and, of course, allegations that there is a crisis at the student financial aid scheme. So you heard from the Minister directly.